And that's in there. There's so many things in there. That's the thing. It's 80,000 pages. And notice, like, a lot of them are like, we heard this person said, and all that kind of stuff. It's 80,000 pages of basically hearsay, and a lot of it might be lies. And really, at the end of this, we really don't have a lot more than we had before. Although we do have some documents, like most of the documents and stuff that they released that I've heard about, we already knew about. But this is kind of interesting, right? Because Donald Trump told Judge Napolitano that the reason he couldn't release them the last time he was president is because if you saw what was in there, you wouldn't have released it either.
Promised you would release the records of the JFK assassination. He said to me, Judge, if they showed you what they showed me, you wouldn't have released it either. And I said, who's they and what did they show you? And then he said, Judge, someday when we're on the phone, and then he raised his voice, and there aren't 15 people listening to the phone call, back to a normal voice, I'll tell you.
So yeah, there's Trump telling Napolitano that if you knew the truth,
you can't handle the truth.
It's no one can know this information. It's too much. Well, that's interesting, because here's what he said yesterday.
I don't think there's anything that's earth-shattering, but you'll have to make that determination. In those, it's 80,000. It's actually 88,000, and we have some additional things, as you know, come out today.
Yeah, 80,000 documents. He's like, why not release 88,000? And then he said, yeah, there's nothing really too earth-shattering in there. Okay, so were you lying before, or are you lying now? He lies a lot. A lot of Trumpers can't see it, but he's basically like a used car salesman. And basically now he's like a used car Tesla salesman.
And I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets.
So yeah, nothing too earth-shattering in there after he said it was, no one would be able to handle the truth. So is the truth not in there? With all these documents, it's going to take months for someone decent, like someone trustable, like James Corbett or Whitney Webb, not Ian Carroll, by the way, which I might mention in this video. He seems to be a gatekeeper along with people like Alex Jones, which I'll get into in this video. I got so much, I don't know how long it's going to be, but I am trying to get through it as quickly as possible. I'm also just trying to enjoy this scenery because this is just amazing here. But there's always been some theories that George H.W. Bush was involved. And there's even photos of him there. And he probably was. The Bushes also basically did the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan, and then after that he wasn't very libertarian anymore. They've been involved in a lot of them. They also oversaw and were heavily involved in 9/11. Where's that truth? Where's that information? No one talks about this stuff. You ever notice that? So what have we had so far? We had the Epstein files, which were nothing, like literally black ink. Then we have 80,000 pages of basically nothing. Basically a bit more info. Actually more confusion than anything, which is kind of what they want. But like I said, the Bush family was involved probably in that as well, which is just incredible. Like how they get away with so much. And they still throw out baseballs at baseball games.
I didn't vote for him, but at that point, my personal feelings about him as a politician is gone.
Was George H.W. implicated in the unsanitized JFK files? Was the national security concerns in 2017 due to him still being alive? It's highly probable. And what do they always say when they can't release these things? Remember, this happened in the 1960s. That's over 60 years ago. Like almost 70 years ago, and they're just starting to release a few things now. So you can expect the 9/11 files in about 50 years. And it won't be any of the truth. It'll just be like Osama bin Laden did it, but he kind of had some help and all this sort of stuff. But they always mention they can't release this stuff because of national security. And first of all, when they say national security, what they mean, the actual true meaning of that is criminal cabal security. See, this is where they get most people, and most people still don't get it. I still see all the time smart people saying things like, we attacked Vietnam in the 1970s. And I'm always like, did you attack Vietnam? And they're like, what do you mean, me? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no. And I'm like, why'd you say we? And you can actually see them like click for a second, and they go, oh, yeah, I meant the US government. That's how they get you.
The Americans would go, fuck the French. Fuck the French. If we hadn't have saved their ass in 2 world wars, they'd be speaking German right now. You go, oh, was that us? That was us? Was that me and you, Tommy? We saved the French? Jesus. I know I blacked out a little bit after that 4th shot of Jägermeister last night, but I don't remember. I know we went through the Wendy's drive-thru. We were going to get one of them fresh cheddar sandwiches. It looked so alluring on the commercial, but then we ordered it and realized we had no money, and we had to ditch out before the second window. And those douchebags in line behind us with the bass music probably got our order, and we laughed about that. But I don't remember saving the French at all. I went through the last 10 calls on my cell phone, and there's nothing incoming or outgoing to the French looking for muscle on a project. I checked my pants. There's no mud stains on the knees from where we were garroting krauts in the trenches at Verdun. I think we didn't do anything but watch sports bloopers while we got hammered. I think we should shut the fuck up.
I wrote an article over 10 years ago called "The Word We is the Most Dangerous Word in the World," because it actually gets people to, it's a level of mind control. Like even Doug Casey, for example. I've told him this a few times. Yeah, I love Doug Casey. But he'll always say stuff like, well, we went into the Middle East, and I'm always like, who? And then, like, Doug gets it pretty quick whenever I bring it up. He's like, yeah, you're right. I guess I'm watching too much television. I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. But they always say they can't release any of this stuff because of national security